Hi, I'm Nicole Fahel.
And I'm Nicholas Cunha, and this is the Break It Down Show live.
That's right. We are live on the Break It Down show. Thanks. I appreciate it. Nicole and Nicholas, you guys have made a film. I guess I'll just start off by saying, tell me about Bang Bang.
Nicole, you can
I mean,
introduce your baby.
cool. So Bang Bang is a story about five teenagers that decide to rob a grocery store, and they end up shooting the clerk, and then everything just goes downhill from there.
Oh,
So
boy.
yeah.
So, okay. So they shoot a clerk. What on earth makes them think that they need to go rob a store in the first place?
It's just out of wanting to do something more in life. It's trying to get out of boredom. You know that syndrome that teenagers and young adults have of FOMO, fear of missing out, fear of not doing enough. It's what brings them to do something so outrageous. It's the comfortability, the boredom of being too comfortable.
All right. So now let's back up a little bit and let's talk about how we got to the point where we're making this thing. Uh, Nicole, if this is your baby, how did you conceive this? What's the genesis of the idea?
Um, I think Nick and I came decided about it together. I was like in my living room one day, and I was like, I want to make a film because we did a lot of short films together, and I was just like, I want to make a feature film. So I think I just texted him. I was like, let's do a feature film, and then we kind of just started brainstorming together, and we had a lot of ideas, but everything was just like about teenagers and how they deal with like growing up and everything around them. And I think we just kind of came together about it.
What do you think about that, Nicholas?
I think it's pretty true because our first story followed the same promise of them like being bored and wanting to do something more with their lives. But the first story was about a road trip and trying to find another friend, and it came evolved to a heist.
Yeah. Okay. So, but that evolution process when you get to a heist, I mean, were you guys inspired by an actual heist? What makes you, I mean, everybody loves a heist film, but talk about that part. Like, how did you start off on a road trip, basically, maybe then adventure, and now we're all of a sudden in this heist film. Talk more about that process.
Yeah, I'm just gonna backpedal a little bit because most of the movies that Nicole and I did together in the past involves a lot, not direct violence, but irrational violence. People being violent because they don't have the answer they are looking for, and I feel that we just wanted to maintain the same basis again, but mix what we had before, which was the road trip movie, this whole them being bored and needing to do something more. And I feel that it just kept mixing both of them until we found the perfect solution. Because I think in the beginning it wasn't even them trying to rob a place, but when it got to there, we just locked in. We're like, okay, this is the situation. It's not too far ahead because they're robbing a supermarket, but also it's not too down below for people to be like, eh.
Sorry, I was on mute.
Oh.
You get the concept of the movie down and everything, but you guys have worked together before, so there's got to be some trust there. Talk about, Nicole, if you would, some of the earlier projects you guys worked on, and as you ramp up. I mean, to say that you're going to do a feature, we've had a lot of filmmakers on the show. I mean, every movie is impossible, right? Like, it's just impossible to do one. And you guys are doing the thing where you start small and you grow and you grow and you grow. And then now you're doing a feature. It's tough to do that. So talk about what you and Nicholas have done on your path to this point.
Yeah, we've done so many short films together. We met in school, and I was a major in acting, and he was doing filmmaking. And he had to do his thesis film, and I was just like, I want to get into producing. And then he was just like, okay, produce it. And then it was just like a lot of me calling him and being like, how do I do this and how do I do that? Just because I just didn't know what to do. And then he just basically taught me a lot. And then we just kind of like went together, and then we're just like, someone wants to do the short film, let's do it together. And then I was just like, cool, I want to do this story with two of my friends, let's do it together. And then we just kind of like walked together to this point.
And what's your version of that, Nicholas?
Ooh, it was It was with her. Nicole was surprisingly easy compared to all the professional producers I was going through
Yeah.
before, because up to our graduation we have 3 films that we got to do through school, but I also worked in some outside projects that included Nicole in it. But when I asked her to produce for me, I was like at my exhaustion point. I couldn't deal with the producers our school was introducing to me. And Nicole, even though in the beginning she didn't know much, teaching her was easier than letting somebody produce my film, because usually I had to dedicate the same phone time, the same present time. The only difference that Nicole was a good friend, and it was way more fun to do with her, and it was how can I say, more objective, because whatever I needed I told her, and we would not go out of our way. We would not go to fairyland try to find like 5 things that the producer thinks is more interesting. I asked Nicole, can we do this, and she went for that.
All right. Now we're getting somewhere. Okay. What are the problems with making a movie? What makes a feature? Hey, well, let's just do a feature is to get it paid for. So talk about the funding process, because you guys both know it's all funding. You can have the best idea in the world, but if no one's going to give you money, you ain't making it, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So we filmed in my hometown, which is where I am right now. So that made it a little bit easier. And then it was just looking for investors here and people that could help with like locations. So we didn't really pay for any of the locations, and we had help, with food. And then a lot of people stayed at my place, and then we were just like calling my friends and being like, "Can I film at your place? Can we do that?" And then just calling the police officer and being like, "I need a gun. Can you just help me with a gun?" And then since it's a small town, everyone is just like so helpful that I think we just got everything here. And then the money that we needed, we just, found it here with people that we both knew.
All right. And then, so you filmed everything on location in Brazil. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's fun. So, okay. And then Indican buys the movie, right, from you guys. Talk about that. I mean, for the audience, they did, Boondock Saints is one of their movies. I mean, these guys do legit films, and then they're picking up your film. That had to be a hell of a meeting for you all.
Yeah, it was awesome. So I started with Buffalo Way last year with Sean at Buffalo to pitch it to a few people. And then we met with Sean at Indican, and she was just like awesome. And I don't know, I'm like, yeah, I don't really know. It was just really unexpected, especially when, it came along, we COVID and everything that was happening. I was just like, what am I gonna do with this film? But they were just like
Yes.
so nice. But they were really nice, and I'm just so happy we're with them.
Okay, good. Good. But still, I mean, to get picked. So Sean, for everybody who doesn't know, one of the founders of Indican is a guy named Sean Hill, and then Randolph Credit is the other one. But that meeting, I mean, how did they? Like, you just knew someone on the inside, or how did you get to that point?
Through Sean
Okay.
at Buffalo Way, yeah, because he knew them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got it. And then what does that mean? I mean, you guys okay, let's back up. Let's talk about COVID and timing. How far into the can was the movie when COVID hits?
Oh,
We finished post production kind of like close to the end of last year.
yeah, like right before COVID.
Yeah. So it was like right when we were starting to try and find people to sell it to.
So you had great timing. You guys got fortunate with that.
Yeah, no, our pitching season was like right before COVID, because I do think that Nicole had to go to Brazil by the end of the year, and I had to go to Thailand by the beginning of this year because I was working with something else, and we didn't have much time, and we did a few pitches here and there. We went to a festival, a pitch festival, I think. What was it exactly that we went, Nicole?
It was a Britzian film festival. It was La Bref.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
a La Brave. Oh yeah, they had
Yeah.
a pitch section in there, and we pitched to how many people? It was not
Like,
a lot. It was already.
like 10-ish, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, we did it. We did a few pitches, but I think that was the pitch that probably solidified us, because is where we got contacted by Buffalo, right? It was
Mhm.
through that pitch. Yes.
Yeah.
So right before COVID actually hit in a worldwide scale, we we got it done.
Yeah, I'll say. That's
Ooh.
fantastic. It almost seems like you guys just like have had no trouble at all. But as you
Oh
described it,
no, it's just because right now we are at a really chill part. Like we had our bumps during filming, during pre-production, but nothing that would I'd say destroy the film. I think
so was there
our
ever a point where either of you thought this ain't gonna happen? There's just no way. Did either of you have that moment?
I think I'm too positive to say yes because
No, yeah.
yeah, I think I always believed in it. If in a way or another, it would hit a public audience, even if it
Yeah.
was through piracy on the street with people distributing DVDs. Some way or another would hit people's screens.
Okay, fair enough. So then what was the biggest obstacle? Like what was the hardest day or the biggest challenge?
Oh, during filming, I say the hardest day. We had an interesting situation midway through the film where the camera and lighting crew had a disagreement with one of our other producers, and they decided to leave, like fully leave. But I was lucky that I went to film school, so I had basic knowledge of lighting, film, cinematography, and I just took the rest by myself. Which, ironically, we hadn't had a single late day after I took over both departments, which
Okay,
is the
this is
irony.
this is a question I love to ask directors. So I'm going to ask you this. Okay, as a director, especially as an indie director, you have to wear a lot of hats. You know, and
I have to wear like a whole hat store.
right, it's the same over here on this end. So when you, I got an airplane about to fly overhead. So let me ask this question really fast. What hat would you like to get rid of next? Now that you got a little bit of budget to play with, and you're going to get more money as you grow.
Ooh, it's hard to say. I don't like having any technical hats, even though before I started directing, I was primarily first AD. I don't like having any technical hats. Like I actually would want to wear more creative hats now that I'm confident, super confident with my cinematography. Not with lighting. Lighting, I would love to have somebody doing lighting, but I would love to now do take care of the whole music section and the composing section of my movies because when I directed Bang Bang, I was not into the music industry yet. But right now, that's what I primarily do. I'm primarily a musician right now. I'm releasing albums, releasing EPs. I'm getting featured in blogs, and I feel that now that I'm a full blown musician on the technical sense, I wish I could translate that into my next film.
What do you play?
Oh, I'm a digital producer, so I basically can program any instrument. It can go from harp, from guitar to drums. I produce it all. I produce a lot for pop, country, gospel, hip hop, and rock singers, including
So
metal.
are you a musician or are you a filmmaker?
I'm a film. I would say a little bit of both because my education comes in a filmmaking sense, and my first step into the LA professional world was through filmmaking. But before I even came to LA, I was a professional dancer in Brazil, and that just brought me into more music and music. And during last year, while we were in the process of pitching and selling, I had to do something else and film. Well, and the film industry was already slow because it was the end of the year, nothing was happening. So I just picked up a hobby that I had, which was making music, and it turned into a professional thing this year. The pandemic actually helped a lot with my music career, like a lot.
Nicole, same question, but in reverse for you. You are an emerging producer. What hats do you need to add to what you do?
So many. I feel like just I don't know, because I've learned a lot, just doing it. And I feel like right now I'm at the point where I'm just like making connections and meeting people that actually know a lot more than me. So like budgeting and how to actually go about a sales agents and distributors beforehand, and all about like all of those things. Those are things that I'm like going for right now. So just like making connections and like talking to people that know how to actually really budget films and talk to distributors and sales agents basically.
So getting that film sold.
Yeah.
is where you want to strengthen up. And what about fundraising? I mean, do you feel like you have enough revenue streams to be able to fund something? Like let's say Nicholas comes to you and says, "Hey, I'm going to need $400,000 to get this done." Are you like, "Oh yeah, no problem. Let me call Ronnie. He'll cut a check."
No, that's another thing that I'm working on. So like budgeting it and finding the money and meeting the right people for that. Because I know some people here that can help, and like film commissions and all of that. But like overall equity in the US, that's something that I'm learning about right now too.
What's the next budget that you'd want to hit? What mark do you guys want to get to for the next film? Will you do it? Are you guys going to do another film together after Bang Bang? Are you guys a partnership?
Yes, hopefully. We've been working together for so long that I probably almost all my next films are probably going to be through us, because Nicole does have a lot of hands in other people's films since she's a producer and actress. But as a director, since I want to make my filmography something not too expensive, but something more straightforward, more concrete, more linear, I feel that working with the same people that I trust will help me to maintain not only the aesthetic, but maintain the stylistic choice and the overall mood and feel of the films.
Where do you guys bump heads? Like, I mean, I know you're going to work it out, but there's got to be areas where you're like, we just never agree on these things.
I feel it's more like small things, like a moment things, because in general, usually when I was writing the film, surprisingly, I have zero to no limitations with Nicole. It's
I
one
feel
of the
like
few.
just it's
Oh,
go
sorry.
ahead. Go ahead.
No, I just feel that whenever I'm writing with all people that I work professionally writing for someone, I think Nicole was the person who just allowed me to do whatever came on this mind. Like, she was like, "Yeah, just give me a film." And whenever I was sending pages and pages, we would change a thing or another, but not. It wasn't because, oh, this is boring, I don't like this. We would find plot holes or that I created because I was just typing for hours and hours, and she would just help me correct. But it was that, at least
Yeah,
what I
I feel
felt.
like I feel like it's a lot when we're just stressed about something else of the film. Then it's just like anything that we do, then we might have a little fight, and then we're just like, oh, okay, get over it. But just like never anything too big.
Yeah, I mean, making a film is hard. It's going to have stressful moments. There's going to be things that you want that you don't get to have because of budget constraints or personality problems. What are the most common problems you guys have on set? You're like, these things are just part of the business, but there's just no way around it. Like, what are those things that are just constant turmoil for you guys?
Ooh. I would say other people. Other
Right?
people. Other people
Yes.
love to not be on time. Other people love to get late. Other people love to find reasons of why they cannot do the job they were hired for. That is in the contract. A lot of people love doing that. Not specifically in our films, but I feel in filmmaking in general. I've been in so many situations where if either talent or light or even a technical assistant were like, actually, I don't want to do this anymore. And what do you do from there? You cannot just make another person pop. And if you've been shooting the movie for a while and it's talent, you cannot just get rid of talent. It's not like some Fresh Prince of Bel-Air where they come with a new aunt.
We actually, it's funny you say that. We had Aunt Viv 2 on the show on Friday.
No way.
Yep. Yeah, Daphne Maxwell Reed. Yeah, and she's wonderful. And she talked specifically about that, how they, Alfonso and Will basically handled it in a couple of seconds, like in two lines, and then they moved on. It's interesting. So the professionalism that you're talking about, because you guys are working at the indie level, there's people that are also, they're working their way up in lighting or whatever it's going to be. And you're right, they might underbid a job, or maybe this isn't the business for them. Maybe it was their dream until they got their dream and they're like, this sucks, I'm out of here. But as a producer, Nicole, like, every minute you waste, you're not putting shots in the can, that's money. You got to go out and
Yeah.
ask for that money. You can't waste it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that I don't know, because I've worked with a lot of people, and like quite some people, which now I'm like learning to deal with. I don't know, they just don't listen to as much as what I say. And sometimes I feel it's just because I'm a woman and I'm not, old enough that, I've had to go like to someone else that it's a man and be like, can you just say that? So that's happened a couple of times. And now I'm just like making sure I know who I'm working with beforehand, just because that's like not a good situation. But besides that, everyone just listens to me, and I'm just like, can we just please? I'm always with the first thing, like, can we go? Can we go? And then mostly people are just nice about it.
What about you, Nicholas? I mean, you've got to handle these things too. You've got a film to shoot. You're directing things. When these problems come up, again, you want to give. You guys are all giving each other a chance. You're all sticking your neck out, and so you don't want to be ice cold. But sometimes you need to be like, "Hey, man, it's cool. It doesn't work out this time. Have a nice day. I'm just going to move forward and send that person." I mean, if you're not on time, if you're not prepared, I'm going to grab you by the neck and go gently and go, "Let's go talk somewhere." Like, do that again, and I'm throwing you off this cliff. And get back to work.
No, I feel that whenever I have to give somebody a warning, or even unfortunately fire somebody during production, I try to make it as private and as quick as possible without any blah blah blahs, because I know that the more you talk, the more they will try to convince you to stay. And when you get to a point that you gotta take somebody out of set because it's actually hurting the film, yeah, I should try to be as objective as I can. That's something good about film school, because they do really teach you how to handle situations like that in under a minute. And because as a director, I don't have to deal with the whole firing process, but I do have to deal with the moment of saying, hey, you're not suitable for the film for this, and that reasons. A lot of
Where
time.
did you go to film?
Oh,
go
sorry.
Ahead.
I just feel that a lot of times is what Nicole said. A bunch of people don't try to take you seriously because you're too young, and LA has the too young mentality. If you're too young, oh, you haven't been in this industry as long as I do. But I'm here. I was selected to be the director, so let me do what I have to do.
Where did you go to film school?
New York Film Academy, but I went to the one in Los Angeles.
So the LA New York Film Academy.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Okay, fire me in less than a minute. Go ahead and go. I'm ready. I showed up late. I wasn't ready to go. I'm costing Nicole money. Fire me.
I say, hey man, to be honest, I've been hired to be a director, and if your problems, your issues are getting to my hand, I really need to tell you that you cannot be here. It's nothing personal, but you're getting in front of my work. You're getting in the middle of my work, so I have to ask you to go. And I think I would do that. And from there, I would have like a producer, or for example, Nicole by my side, and then it's for them. They take off. I am just pushing the bike, and they take the wheels off, or they let the bike go. I'm just the first cut.
Okay, so enough of the negative stuff. Let's talk about some of the magic, because incredible thing when you create something. Beautiful things happen from that creation that you never would have known were going to happen. So, Nicole, talk about that. Like, you get to film a movie in your hometown. I would love to do something like that. My hometown is gorgeous, right? So, talk about that opportunity and some of the fantastic experiences that came from it.
Oh, so many. So I'm like in a small town on the Northeast, and there's not much about arts here. So like something that I've always wanted to do was like bring more arts here, and then hopefully one day open an art school here. And so like one of the things that we did, we met a lot of people, and like they were all able to be part of the background and be a part of it. And we talked to a lot of people. We did some workshops with people here too. And we talked to the just everyone in town, because I don't think anyone ever filmed a film here before, so everyone was just like really into it and helping like everyone in the city. They would just like email us and be like, can I do this or can I do that? So it was just really nice to be able to bring something here that a lot of people could be a part of.
Nicholas, same question for you. What were some of the magic moments that happened during the filming?
Oh, first that I discovered that is a city where Glauber Rocha, the only filmmaker, the only Brazilian filmmaker who not only has a Palme d'Or for feature film, but he also has for short film as well. Only Brazilian filmmaker that ever achieved that far in Cannes, was born in her city, which is a small, really small town compared to a lot of towns that we have in Brazil. And I feel the magic of the city. Ironically, as I said, the things that ruined movies are people. The magic of her city is people, is all the people. Without the people, we wouldn't have had the film at all. We got a lot of things out of just good heart, people letting us use their businesses for us to shoot, people letting us use their collector cars, because we do have a car from the 70s or the 80s, which is like a limited edition collection card that I it took me time to notice, but somebody emailed me a couple months ago asking what car it was because they saw it on IMDb, and I just noticed I don't know because it does have a Lincoln and a Ford logo in it. So it's that type of collector cars. It's a car that somebody put that much effort into it, and stuff like this people just let us use without paying a cent, and it was incredible because if it was in LA, if we wanted to breathe in front of the restaurants, we would have to have a permit and to pay a fee.
Yeah. That's something to be said sometimes for indie films. And you're right, that car is memorable for sure. I didn't realize it's a Lincoln Ford. It's got both badges on it, huh?
Yeah, no, I'd never seen that before because I got an email of somebody asking. They're like, I don't know how to start looking for this car because I see a Lincoln logo and a Ford logo in the front of the car.
Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah,
I don't know either. I was looking for it. I looked with for like an hour, I think, and I couldn't. I think the guy just probably put two cars together or something like that. Because that car was incredibly spacious for sedan looking type car because it fit 7 people, 3 in the front, 4 in the back, which is I never seen that before.
One in the trunk?
Oh no, it's 3 in the front and 4 in the back, and it was just wide. The chairs were just that wide. I never seen a car that was as long and as wide, but it wasn't like a SUV or a CUV. It was just a sedan looking type car.
Yeah. Nicole, the ability to make a film in your hometown is something pretty special. Again, you're bringing the arts to your hometown and everything. You're shooting. You guys are shooting a film in Brazil, right? I mean, I don't know how strong the Brazilian film industry is, but you get educated in LA. Anywhere else you go is going to be like, it's kind of backwater. But then again, the magic of shooting at home is pretty incredible. Who came through for you at home that really stands out? Like, man, this person just would like they were bonkers to support us. Who was that person?
Oh, who didn't?
Who
I had
didn't?
my
Oh, I love it.
Who didn't?
right. I had my parents handling a lot of things in production, like on the production side once I started acting. So, my grandmother came to help. The people that work for us, they were just like making food every day to make sure people were fed while we're filming. So they, just everyone that works for my parents, and I don't know, the police officers here, just because they were with us for so many days. We had so many scenes with like guns, and,
Real
that we
guns.
had to, yeah, with real guns that we had to stop traffic, and they were just like always next to us, helping us out. So I feel like, but just everyone in general, like all the people that let us use the locations, they were like super helpful. They would be there. They would like let the place stay open later, and they email us later, be like, how did it go? And ask for news, and like we use the shopping mall. So like everyone was just like so helpful.
The next time you shoot a film, it's not going to be in your hometown. So it's going to be in whatever, Utah or somewhere else. You leaned hard on your hometown. How are you going to get the same kind of support where you go? Do you have like a plan, or are you just going to invent it? Or how does that go for you?
Not to invent it. I'm gonna have to invent it. No, I think we're gonna have to have more people on the production side for sure. Just because here we leaned on a lot of people, so we're gonna have to have a lot more people like working on the production side.
What does that cost in terms of budget?
A lot more. Um, I don't know. I do think that maybe like 3 or 4 more people on the production side, so it would cost a little bit more to have them with us.
I mean, just someone focused on being the liaison with the local government. So the police and because that town does want that magic moment. And if you spend time with them, they'll help you get it, but
Yeah.
it takes work for sure.
Yeah.
Nicholas, as you get bigger and bigger films, you're going to live more comfortably when you film. I'm assuming that because you guys are independent, you're not staying at the Ritz and everything. You're being modest and you're putting the money into the production. What is a luxury that you would like to get to at some point that you don't have now?
I feel the luxury is it's hard to say because with Nicole, everything that I don't get from other professional productions, I get it from her. For example, enough pre-production. I don't feel I have enough time for pre-production on most of other professional works that I do. Sometimes since I direct a lot of music videos, sometimes it's on the go. I get the script and I get the concept and I get whoever's working with me 3-4 days ahead, which is so not good for me. I like sitting down and actually learning about the project, dissecting the project before I go for it. So I feel that if I keep working with Nicole, I'm gonna guaranteed or almost guaranteed have what makes me enjoy being a filmmaker, because a lot of the professional works that I do are not exactly what makes me enjoy being a director, but is what keeps me being a director.
I've learned through my own work here on my show and just in general talking to filmmakers, pre-production is probably the most underrated aspect of filmmaking.
Yes.
And this is a question for both of you guys, but just improving shots, getting ahead of time to look at areas so you like already are set up. I mean, because if you know where everything goes, all that money that Nicole is spending on having people stand around waiting for lighting and everything, you're like, we don't got to spend that money. We're going to be set up here in 2 hours instead of 8 or whatever it is. Pre-production, it's such a big part of it. Is that something that you're still learning, and like what needs to be done ahead of time that will save $10,000 over the course of a film because you just were more prepared?
I think so. I think that we're always learning because not only the world, but the filmmaking world is constantly changing because of technology, because of new rules. And every country has their own rules. Every state has their own rules. If you go really deep, every county has their own rules. For example, in Los Angeles County, you got to declare your permits through Film LA. But if you go to Riverside, you just send one single email to their government. But if you go to Austin, Texas, you go through 80 something people to get a 30-minute street shot, which you're not even closing the street. Like it's complicated. I feel that pre-production is really essential also on that part, because finding where you're gonna shoot will save you from so many problems, so many problems in the future. A good pre-production brings a almost guaranteed good production and post-production.
What do you think about pre-production, Nicole?
Same thing. I think we're always learning, and I think that from the first one that I did up until now, I've learned so much of how important it is. Just like getting, like you said, going to the locations beforehand and being like, oh, look at the lighting here. This is what we gotta do, and then just write it down to make sure that we have that, and to make sure that we know where to send it people ahead of time to make sure everything's ready once we get there. So I think we're always learning, but it's like the most important thing to me.
There's a couple of jumps that you make along the way when you go up and you go from indie and maybe to like union style films and everything, and a lot of it is that stuff where like this is the shot. And I'll hear indie filmmakers, they lean on their ability to be nimble, right? You guys can spin and go a different direction in a moment, whereas a big high budgeted thing, they don't ever want to do that. And so when something causes them trouble, it's still distressful for all of them. You guys have the ability to say, we're just going to change this shot to this or whatever it is. That nimbleness does go away at some point. Are you okay losing that, like 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it is, next film, when you've got that bigger budget? And I mean, if you're wasting 10% of someone's money, and it's a lot of money because the pre-production isn't tight, being nimble isn't going to necessarily make them happy. When you're like, hey, by the way, I need another 25 grand to get this shot done.
Yeah, and I feel that also now that the more I write, the more objective my writing becomes, which makes my scenes more and more essential. I feel that this losing this nimbleness is part of evolution as a filmmaker, because since the bigger and the bigger productions go, the more and more people I'm responding, and the more and more people's visions I'm trying to follow. So I do think that being less nimble or more objective is just part of the process because, as you said, yes, in this film, so many times when we lost a scene or we couldn't do something, I already had something else in mind and we just jumped
Right.
into it because we could. We were a small crew and we were way more flexible than a major motion picture crew would be because we don't have any unionized people. We don't
Right.
have any type of like I don't know. I like for example, I worked on Tad 2, you know, that movie with the bear.
Yep.
And on Tad, every single thing that came from the production, the unit production, the UPM's office or the AD's office, it used to come on a pink paper. So we wouldn't get like word of mouth. Oh, next scene is it. We would get a paper saying in 30 minutes we're gonna start this scene at this location. And it was so dystopian, but I understand why it happens that way. Why we didn't have that mouth to mouth communication because it was too many people. We had more than like 3,000 people in our crew, not concurrently, but throughout the whole shoot. It's too many people to remember, too many people to remember what they do. So passing a paper to the departments is just more intelligent at that point.
Yeah, and you got to keep track of things, right? No, no, you said something. No, 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 I didn't say it. Here's the piece of paper right here. It was written down. It was given to you at this time. You know, I mean, because you have to keep track of that stuff. It has to be an accounting of it. It's crazy how that grows. But again, though, the goal, right, is to get to the point where you're forced to like, I have to use union talent now. Because
Yes.
one, I mean, it's part of the craft, and everybody understands when you're indie, you don't have to do that. But I'm assuming you guys want to get to the point where, yeah, we're paying into this industry, this guild, making sure people are employed the way they need to be and paid the way they need to be. I mean, not everybody wants to just like, hey, I just want a credit. Like people want to get paid at some point.
Yes.
What does that road look like for you when you do lose? I don't want to say the innocence, but you lose some of that artistic purpose and you trade it for a professional purpose. Do you guys look forward to that, or maybe you want to stay on the indie side? I don't know.
I think I'm just right now because of everything I've been doing that mixes filmmaking, music, like for example, music videos. I'm already accustomed with the fact that I'm not gonna be indie forever. Like the work that I do with music videos is already shows that I cannot be indie forever because we respond to a lot of EPs, we respond to a lot of record labels, and record labels can be mean. Like they are not as professional as filmmakers that they just be objective about it. Record labels, you're dealing with somebody that's having a bad day, they're gonna let you know they're having a bad day. They start a cell phone with, hey, I don't have a lot of time with you because I'm having a bad day, but blah 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 blah. And you're like, damn, okay.
Yeah.
It's like, unfortunately, it's like that, and there's nothing you can do about it because industries are different, and you never know who you're dealing with. Because just because you're in filmmaking, it doesn't mean that you're not gonna work with somebody at Pepsi Cola, that you're not gonna work with somebody at the Hilton hotels. You never know exactly who you're dealing with, and just because the filmmaking industry tends to be professional, even on the indie side, people tend to be more polite and mindful what they say. People within the other industries you work, they are not as mindful like that. They don't give a single one about it.
No, they don't. They care about one thing. All right. So, Nicole, what about you? I mean, do you that the innocence and the artistic sensibility of being indie, is it worth sacrificing that to get to that next level, or do you see yourself staying on the indie side?
I really like indie films. I feel like even like even growing a little bit more and like going into SAG and guilds, I do feel like I'd like to choose films that it's a little bit of both. You have some talent and you have it's more professional, but at the same time you have a good story, and that's why you're doing it, because there's heart in the story, and there's a bigger reason for that. So that's something that I look into more. I love studio films, but I do love the indie side. And I do love raw films. So that's something that I'm looking to keep doing.
As an indie filmmaker, producer, actress, you have to wear a lot of hats. But as you get higher up, you're going to have to give up something. I mean, yes, you can be a member of the PGA, the SAG, all those things, but at some point you're going to have to really be one thing and you maybe dabble in the others. What's that thing going to be? What do you think?
Oh God, I have no idea. Uh, so I started as an actress, and so I've done a lot of acting and a lot of theater acting. And then I got a lot more into producing. That's something that I really like, just because I do really like being in charge. That's something that I've always liked, and I went to business school. So I'm not sure, but like as right now, I'm a lot more inclined to follow, as a producer.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, and you never know. Like maybe you stay on the acting side, and it's on there over there. I
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
the what makes your heart the happiest though? Like, is it the production? Is it creating this bigger thing?
I do like being, yeah, I do like, yeah, I feel like right now, yeah, I really like doing it.
Okay. And same kind of question for you, Nicholas. I mean, ultimately, yes, you can make music, um, but you have to pick something. You can't just, you can't write, direct, and make music for too much longer. I mean, maybe you do, maybe you break the mold, but at some point you're gonna be like, I'm just gonna hire someone to do this music, and plus this person's better than me anyhow, or whatever it is. They're gonna direct this film. I'm just gonna write this thing. What do you see is your path today?
I today I see do I'm I just have the realization that I'm a really lucky person to be where I am today, because most of my friends who are within the music industry or the film industry, it's hard for them to stand on 2 feet on either or. I'm lucky that I had the education and the connections in film, and I was lucky that everything that happened this year moved me towards music. So right now, the path that I'm going, it seems most likely that I'm able to do both, because my label does allow me to direct not only my music videos, but music videos of other artists within the label. But I do see myself, if I have to lose something, I just see myself probably losing a little bit of writing, because I love to direct other people's visions. It's something that I feel that uh, it's something that I'm comfortable with, and something that I'm good at, is just bringing other people's visions to the table. And hopefully, when I do that, I can be as demanding and require my music touching it, because up to this moment, I've been able to, since I started putting both together, and hopefully I'll just be able to continue doing both.
As a musician, right, and you're programming instruments, sometimes the analog version, the actual strings going across actual, a bow, is going to be something like, you take the world's greatest violin player who can
Mhm.
create emotive music, and you're going to struggle to compete with that. Do you agree with that? First off, I mean, I'm an old
Yes,
man, so I'm
yes,
like,
yes.
play the
No, no.
damn bass, don't program it, But and there's nothing wrong with programming music. Let me say that up front. It's totally fine. But at some point, someone who's truly gifted with that, and that's their one thing they do, they're going to outdo anybody else at it. Do you value that
Yes.
level of musicianship?
Since I work in a couple recording studios here in LA, I do outsource a lot of musicians in my music. Like, for example, as including, as said, the bass. I program most of my bass, but I do have a girl called Nigeria Thomas, which is an excellent bass player, excellent string instrumentalist, per se. She can
Right.
play over 20 string instruments, and I usually outsource her, because our pricing, our synergy working together is really good. So I've outsourced a couple synth players, I've outsourced a couple bass players, and I've outsourced recently a wind flute player, because I
All
was trying
right.
to go to a certain melody which digitally it hit perfectly everything I was looking for, but I needed that humanization, because it was an emotional song, and we talk a lot about. I was working with a gospel artist, so we talk a lot about God, and we wanted something more humanized. And humanizing through the computer is good, because most of the times it's almost impossible to notice, but out of just because I really wanted something analog, something per hand, something that even if she made a mistake, I would feel that mistake. It would be human.
I love it. I love that. Yeah, we were talking the other day on the show about it, you know, when you do something in a computer and you program it, it's great because you can do anything right there, but you also lose that ability to have someone else say, we need to play with time here, you know, and not be perfect, you know, be a little behind, be a little in front of. And it's hard to. One of the things we've learned too about music is like, even like the greatest, like Stevie Wonder, right? Sometimes he needs someone else in the room to say, hey, Stevie, that's too indulgent. Let's pull this back. Let's push this forward. Let's challenge you in another spot. You know, that must resonate with the both of you as artists. That sometimes you need someone in there to hold you accountable to your best self.
Yes. I feel even Nicole, she was really good at doing that during the film. Nicole and our other producer, Fernandinha, who were sorry, who were blessings to me during production. I feel that without them pulling me back when I needed, probably I could have lost time doing stuff that was not as necessary. They were really good at saying, okay, we don't have time to do this. You got to choose between this and that, or this is too much. Can we do this in without it? And most of the times it's just a yes, because I know that if I say no, I'm just losing time and going to become that back and forth that is going to make me lose the scene in general.
Right. Yeah. And Nicole, I mean, that's such a big lesson, right? To be able to say, hey, we don't need this, right? Like the editing tool. Like, yes, I know you create wonderful things. Let's just create this. Does this drive the story forward, right? Or whatever that thing is. How did you develop that skill?
I feel like that's something that I'm still developing, but I feel like I read a lot of scripts and I see a lot, like I watch a lot of films and, TV shows. And then I just keep watching and watching and I'm just like, oh, this scene, it's not fully necessary. Like it doesn't take the story forward. So I feel like that's something that I look in scripts today and I'm like, does that change anything in the story if it's not there? And then, at some points I might just, leave it there. And then when we're on set, if it's not necessary, I'm like, yeah, let's just cut that because it won't change much in the story.
You guys have a movie that's you've sold to Indican, and it's incredible to do that. You've had so many, good fortunes. You were able to make a film in your hometown. You're making a feature film. I mean, it's all incredible. What separates you from that other duo that's like, why can't we get, a meeting with Indican? Why can't we get what makes you guys, what was it or what is it that allows you all to be as productive as you've been?
I I don't know if it's separate or any, but I really work a lot. Like I research a lot and I work a lot and I email a lot of people and I just usually don't take a no as an answer. I'm like, but why? And then, I just keep trying to talk, always polite, of course. But I feel like we worked a lot on it, like hours and hours and just like, this way is not working. Let's go that way. And it's just like not giving up and like taking it day by day and, like just letting the frustration go and then be like, okay, let's be sad today and then let's go back into it tomorrow. So just keep going no matter what. I don't think we ever like came to a moment where we're just like, let's just give up and not finish it. So for us, there's just like never a, this is not going to work. I don't think we had that option for us.
As you get better in the business and we all improve and everything, you have to outwork your problems is one of the things I always say, and develop elegance so that you can actually take it a little easier later on because you're actually working where the work needs to be done. Right. So what is, people always say, yeah, I work hard, but what does that look like? Like how many hours a day are you working on this project and include like when you're thinking about like when your brain is clocking hard and you're like, I've got to figure this out. What does that look like? What is working hard for each of you? Nicole, you go first.
I'm actually at a moment in life that I'm trying to find a hobby just because I tend to work and overthink from when I wake up till I go to bed, which is like, 1 or 2 or 3 a.m. And I keep thinking and thinking. And that's something that I've always done. And then just now I'm just like looking into things from when I wake up to when I go to bed usually. So I feel like I'm at a moment where I'm just like, today I'm going to try not to work. And then I usually work for half of that day, but I'm trying to go in the opposite way because I've always loved working. And I feel like I really try to do it all day and every day, which is not the healthiest thing. I'm working on it, but it's what I do.
It is what you have to do, though, right? And
Yeah,
then
it's what I have to do.
I work half days all the time too. How many hours are in a half day? I know it's not 4.
Yeah, no, it's I usually most of the day anyways. I usually, because I see myself a lot where I go to dinner with, friends or whatever, and then people are talking and I'm just like in my email answering like something about work. That happened yesterday. I went to a bar with a few friends, and then my friend just got my phone because she thought I was doing something. I'm working. This is my work. It's not about you. She's like,
Yeah,
oh, okay. So I feel like I work all the time, but I like it, and I feel like I'm at a moment where I have to, because
yeah.
it's important for me, and that's gonna get me forward, and so yeah.
I personally am working on working less during the weekends. Not working on the weekends, but just working less. And so but yeah, I mean, what we do, you have to stand out. You have to be responsive when someone has a question. You're sort of compelled to, like, if I can answer this now, then they can do their next thing. Like, I don't want to hold them up. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nicholas, same question for you. When you look at, outworking your problems and developing elegance, what is it about what you do that enables you to get work that your peer is not getting? What makes the difference in terms of your work ethic?
I have the privilege to work with what I love. It's a
Okay.
privilege. I acknowledge that from the beginning, because just the fact that I had the chance to come to get the scholarship to come in LA and meet other people and keep working as I could. Because, for example, out of my classmates, not all of them could do work outside the school because they were international students, which doesn't allow them legally to do so. I could. I had the privilege to be able to transform, like the same thing that Nicole was saying, that she needs a hobby to get out of work a little bit. That was music for me, and music became another profession, became part of my career, because now it's part of what helps me pay rent and live in the city. So I
Yes.
think I had the privilege. Still have the privilege of being able to, whatever I want to work with, I was capable with. Like, I had my hardship times where I was working my 9 to 5s, cleaning bathrooms, working this horrible food industry that the US has. But right now, I'm just privileged enough to work with what I like, with what I want. I can literally say yes or no to what I want to do. So that helps a lot. That helps an insane amount, because when I was cleaning bathrooms, I didn't want to do that. So I was going to work, not feeling like going to work. I was living the day just waking up, making food, going to work, coming back home, eating and sleeping. I wasn't doing anything to push who I wanted to be or who I saw I was forward. And now that I'm in such position, I think it's just easy for me, because I am privileged enough to do what I love.
What does a workday look like for you? Like, how many hours are you putting in? What does that look like?
In film, my work days look way chiller, because for example, right now, no, I just finished a script for narrative visual EP, which is an artist is making her own whole EP into a story. That was 14 pages, and it took me around 3 days, 12 to 16-hour days. But in music is a big fu. In a music, you're working on somebody's album. You get to the studio at 10 a.m. You leave at 12 p.m. the next day. You
Yeah.
sleep in the studio. You brainstorming with the artist. Like, that was the time that I was flown to Las Vegas, and I stayed there for a week, because I was just doing this girl's album. So my work was literally 24 hours. Every single moment I was awake, we were talking about the album and working on it.
Yeah. We had Timmy Kelly on the show, and he said when they finally got, like, they drove to town on worn out tires, threadbare tires, and they were 1,000 miles from home, by the way. So that was it. This was the last trip. And, they got their shot, and they got in the studio. I don't think they physically left the studio for like 3 weeks. Like, they
It
just
happens.
stayed there and they worked. They brought them food and it was like a test. Like, are you serious about this? And I think this is the difference between, like, when you love what you do, like, you don't mind it if it's hard. You don't mind it if it's exhausting, because you love it. And then if you only kind of love it, that's when you need to pivot to something else. It can still be in film. Maybe you need to go be a producer, or maybe you need to be a writer, whatever it is. But when that hard work starts, and you two know this because you've made a film, when that hard work starts and it's like, oh yeah, we got another 6 hours on this thing. We've been at it for 20. Like, yeah, of course, I know we have to get it done, right? I mean, that really for me is the first big separators. Can you outwork these things? Do you love it enough to continue to go after it? What are your thoughts, Nicole?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And I think that that's something that, I mean, I personally do. I think Nick did too in school. People are just like, if that's not the one thing you need to do with your life, just go and do something else.
Yeah.
And then I just never saw a different option. So that's, that's why I keep going, and that's why I know it's hard, but I just don't see something else that I want to do. And I don't mind doing it. I don't feel like it's work, which I think I'm so thankful for, because I know a lot of people, and I see a lot of people that are like, oh, I gotta go to work, oh, I gotta do that, oh, I gotta do that. And I'm like, even though I have long hours and I do a lot of things, I'm always having fun while I do it. And I think that's so important, because it's something that I'm looking to do for the rest of my life. And it's, it's a lot of work. So you gotta really love what you're doing. Otherwise find something else.
Do you think you work more than your friends who have regular jobs?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, but no, because the amount of work they do, I feel is most of my friends who are not doing what they want, they work way less hours than I do, but their 8 hours they work for day seems like they're working 3-4 days in a single day. The amount of exhaustion that they experience is insane compared to mine. I have a friend who she works in a company that makes signs for like a big stores and stuff, and
Yeah.
it's something that she doesn't like. She's there because she has to be. She works 3-4 times a week. I work every day. I am not as exhausted as she is. I am more energetic in the sense of social situations, because making music is making music and making film is just pleasurable. It's something that is hard, but it gives you pleasure, which is something that most other jobs do not give.
Yeah, one of my friends the other day was talking to me, and I'm like, man, he's like, it's so great what you're doing. And I'm like, I know, I love it. And I'm not complaining about it, but I got to tell you, it's terrifying sometimes, like when the next paycheck is coming, all that kind of stuff. And he's like, well, don't you dare quit. I'm working every day, and I would love to trade spots with you, And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, all right, I got to remember that, like we are all very fortunate to create. Hey, just really quick, what are you guys working on next? I mean, Bang Bang is great. Everybody should go check out the link here. If not, just go to indicanpictures.com and you can find it there. And you can. Where's the best place to watch it? By the way, should they watch it on Amazon? What do you guys recommend?
I
It's
mean, I
gonna be
personally
on.
like Apple TV, but there's Amazon and there's Google Play, and yeah,
Just watch it, everybody. That's the main thing.
just watch it.
Yeah, whatever you're
Yeah.
comfortable with. Big screen, small screen. It was made for all of them.
What's next?
What's next with each of us or with
Yeah,
both
yeah,
of us?
yeah. Together, each individually, whatever it is. Just go ahead and you start, Nicholas, and just what are you guys going to do next?
For right now, my 2021 basically is at least the first 2 quarters are fire focus on music. I just signed a record label under 2 personas, one called 818 Suki and another one called Online Friend. So I'm gonna be releasing a lot of music and visuals for them. But my quarter 3 and 4, hopefully I can dedicate entirely to my filmmaking, because Nicole and I had already talked that we want something next.
Nice.
And during my music time, I've been using it to write. I'm trying to have 2 features ready by the end of the year so I can present, and we go with one of them.
Nicole?
Yeah, same. I'm, doing a lot of production. I'm working with a few producers, mostly here in Brazil too, because that's something that I want to be able to do, like work both here and in the US. So we have some stuff planned for next year. Depending on how COVID goes, to film or not. So we have those planned, and then I have one with Nick that he's writing to let me know. But I texted him the other day. I was like, let's do something next year. Next year, so he wrote something last year that I loved. So we might go with one of the options to see if we can do something next year.
I love it. I love it. Everybody, definitely go check out Bang Bang, Amazon, Apple TV, wherever you watch movies at home. I don't know if you heard the news, but Pfizer today announced that they've got a vaccine. It appears that it works for most people most of the time. So,
No way.
you know, it's the first into this rollout of vaccines, and you know, it's Pfizer, so it's legit. So hopefully, we can get you guys back to work full scope instead of having to locked down. You know, it's not the end of the road.
Yeah.
We still got to deal with these things, but if we can start getting vaccinated, man, because what we need is we need you guys creating stuff, bigger and bigger things all the time, you know?
And we need the world coming back to normal without fear, but safely. Because a lot of people don't have fear, but they don't have fear in a really unsafe way.
Yes, that is true. Yeah. And fear is different to different people. Yeah. So I appreciate you guys coming on. I think it's fantastic what you're doing. I'm so excited for your guys' combined and individual efforts because you're really doing neat stuff. And I just can't wait. Please come back. Every time you have something to talk about, please come back on because it's super neat. And I also love the fact that we're hard on ourselves here in the U.S. We think that we're anti-immigrant somehow, and it's like no, we're the most like, come on, let's create this thing.
Yes.
Create it in Brazil, come back to America, create something here, let's go to Thailand. You know, we love this stuff, and I love that the arts are so international. And thank you guys so much for everything that you do. Just give me a big smile to start my day. All right, let me sign off. Hold on.